Hey, nurse writers, is that client for real? Are they going to be a good client, or could it possibly be a scam? I'm going to give you 7 red flags to help you evaluate clients so you always get the best ones. Welcome to another episode of the RN to Writer Show. I'm your host, Elizabeth Haynes. I'm a nurse, an award-winning journalist, and a former 6-figure freelance writer who today teaches other nurses how to be health writers too. And by the way, not just nurses, but any healthcare professionals who are interested in writing as a career for extra money or a full-time gig. You can do whatever you want. Okay, today I want to talk about, I don't want to say scams because, yes, there are scams in the writing industry, but this podcast isn't entirely about how to identify a writing scam. It's about how to vet clients. It's about how to evaluate whether a potential assignment, client, or some sort of offer for you to give your writing services is legit or not. So I'm going to go through what I consider 7 red flags that would make me pause and maybe evaluate that client, assignment, or relationship a little further before I really signed on with them or did any work. Okay, so here we go. Red flag number 1 is when a client asks me to do a free test or a free sample assignment for them. That is a hard no from me, and the reason is because, first of all, that's not really how freelance writing works. The way freelance writing works is clients can go evaluate your clips, which are things you've written for other clients, and then they can determine what they need to determine about your writing ability or whatever they're looking for from your clips. The other reason I say no to free test assignments is because in the past, years ago, there were websites that got lots and lots of free content. They never paid any writers because they would lure writers with an opportunity to come on and have regular work. But first you had to complete a free test assignment. And then they would take your work, say, thank you, you didn't make the cut, and then publish your work on their website. So that's a no from me. Red flag number 2 is if you're being asked to pay for anything. Huge red flag, because in the freelance industry, there's something known as Yogg's Law, which states money flows towards the author. It does not flow away. So if you're being asked to pay to view assignment details, if you're asked to pay to apply to be a writer, no. If you're being asked to pay, if you sign on with a client and then find out that they require you to pay to have your work edited before they will accept it, huge no. I've heard of that going on. That is not how this industry works at all. Particularly on the editing example. Writing is a collaborative endeavor. We create a draft, we give it to the publication or the client, they make edits, send it back, we make the changes, we might have questions, we might suggest other stuff. That might get batted back and forth several times. You don't pay for that. So if anybody's requiring that, just say no and run away from that client. Red flag number 3, if you get an inbound solicitation, what we call an inbound lead, an assignment possibility, and it's for a lot of money, and you are very inexperienced, possibly have no clips at all. This is a scam. This is an outright scam. It's an advance fee fraud scheme that runs on LinkedIn regularly, has been running on LinkedIn for years. I have reported it to LinkedIn. LinkedIn does nothing about it. The way this works is you get contacted through a direct message on LinkedIn from someone who says, oh, you're a nurse and you write and you have exactly the combination of expertise we need. Here's a brief that describes the assignment we want you to write, and we're willing to pay you $7,942 or $5,365 or something like that. Now, it's possible to make that kind of money from an assignment, but not if you have no clips, usually. Not if you are inexperienced. So we have to ask ourselves, with all the experienced writers on LinkedIn, why would they approach me when I'm just getting started or may not have started at all? Because it's a scam and they feel like you're naive and they can get this over on you. Don't fall for that. Red flag number 4 is related. When these solicitations come in, the scam that I'm talking about, it has a highly specific word count. These scams will say something like, we have this article brief that we want you to write, and it's for 10,429 words. That is not how this industry works. I have never been given a specific word count in 30 years of freelancing. It is not done. We operate on word ranges. Legitimate clients will say something like, we need a 300 to 500 word blog post. We need a 6,000 to 8,000 word white paper. Nobody says, we want you to write an article on some health topic in a very specific number of words. Red flag, scam, run away as fast as you can. Now let's say, though, that a legitimate client has approached you, yay, woohoo, or a publication, they have given you an assignment. Immediately after that assignment, there should be 2 things. There should be a contract or an assignment letter, and you don't receive them. That's a red flag to me. To be fair, that's not a red flag for all freelancers, and I certainly have done my fair share of work without a formal contract. However, in this day and age, protect yourself. If someone wants to give you an assignment, ask them when you can expect a contract. If it's on the journalism side, ask them when you can expect an assignment letter, because that's how that often works. These documents should be legally binding. You should have to sign and send it back. They should have to sign and send you a copy of the fully signed thing, not the assignment letter, but a contract. An assignment letter, if you're working in health journalism, it should cover all of the scope of work of the article they want you to write. If they are unwilling to give you a contract or an assignment letter, I would definitely hesitate until you have a lot of experience on which to base your next action, whether you work with them or not. Related to this, red flag number, what are we on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is if they don't ask you for a W-9 form or W-8 form if you're in Canada. This is not always a red flag because IRS in the U.S., IRS laws specify when you do and do not need to receive a 1099 form to account for contract income each year. So if a client is contracting with you for what they suspect is going to be one assignment for $300, they may not ask for a W-9 because they're not going to have to send you a 1099. Nonetheless, it doesn't hurt them to collect one. And if you're working with a bigger client who you're going to be billing regularly or something like that, they definitely need a W-9 form from you. And if they don't ask for one and you offer one and they say we don't need that, that's a big red flag. Because they definitely need that and you definitely need that because you want that 1099 in the spring. And then the 7th red flag for me personally, your mileage may vary with this one. If the prospective client seems super disorganized, can't remember who you are, even though you've exchanged multiple emails, said they were going to send you something and you've prompted them several times and you still don't have it, just doesn't seem to have their act together. If you're new to this industry, I would hesitate. Now, content marketing experts, content marketing editors, publication editors, they are all extremely busy. I get that. They may be slow to respond. They may think they responded and sent you something and they didn't. That's a given. That's not cause for concern. It's if this is happening repeatedly throughout the beginning of your relationship. If they don't know what they want from you, if they can't give you a scope of work, if they don't know a deadline, I'm going to say I would back off from that if I were new to the industry, and here's why. You cannot please a client like that. And in this industry, the only standard of is it good enough, which is a concern of many novice nurse writers, they say, I don't feel like I write good enough. The only standard of good enough is, was the client happy with it? And if they're super disorganized and they can't give you instructions and so on and so forth, they can't be happy with what you produce because they haven't defined what happiness means to them. They haven't defined what's going to be good enough. Again, if you're mid-career or later career, you can navigate that stuff a little more easily. This is designed to help newcomers to this industry navigate finding clients and assignments with ease instead of getting outright scammed, getting taken by paying fees, because how would you know that that's not how the industry works? So that's it. 7 red flags. Let me run down them real quickly again. Getting asked to do a free test or sample assignment, paying for anything in the process, getting an inbound solicitation for a big dollar project when you have no clips or you only have a very few clips, being asked for a deliverable with an extremely specific word count, not getting a contract or assignment letter, not having a W-9 requested from you or being told they don't need one, and if they seem super disorganized. If you avoid these types of clients when you're starting out, you'll have a smoother path to success. By the way, if you'd like more content like this, there's a couple ways you can get it. First of all, check out the RN to Writer blog, which you'll find linked in the description box. Secondly, I go over this stuff all the time in our coaching sessions for our programs. You can start with our $6 ebook, which is linked in the description box as well. If you have questions about how to vet a client, how to evaluate a client, or just general questions about how freelancing works, put them in the comments. We're happy to answer. All right. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next time on the RN to Writer Show.